Welcome to the final chapter. Now, before we continue, let's quickly reflect on your journey through the course. Hopefully, you chose to use a notepad throughout every single lesson, and if so, by now you should have a lot of pages packed full of notes. If not, I still recommend doing so, and in fact, regardless of what approach you took. Not only do I want you to take notes from every lesson in detail, I also request you do not watch this course once and then believe that is all. Do not be afraid to go over and actually do the course again several times, especially the psychological, blockchain, and market analysis sections. It is here where your repetition and willingness to learn will help you thrive in the market at a much faster pace than a laid-back learner. So guys, once you have finished this final chapter, please don't hesitate to go back even one more time for the sake of increasing your knowledge. So this final stage is essentially the missing piece of the puzzle to cryptocurrency investing. Now you've understood blockchains, you've been given the mindset guidelines to follow, you're analysing cryptos how they should be, you've probably even bought some now. Your final step is keeping them safe, whether that's over a weekly period or several years. Following the steps in this chapter will ensure you never suffer the dreaded loss of all your cryptos for a mistake, or even worse, an exchange being hacked. The method of security you will be discovering starting from this very lesson is a cryptocurrency specific security measure called cold storage. No, this does not mean storing your cryptos or computer inside a freezer, but essentially it is actually the same concept. We cold store items we want to preserve for a long time in freezers or temperature controlled rooms, and I'm hoping you want to keep your cryptos for a long time. Therefore, we have to put them in cold storage. You may remember in the second lesson we covered cryptography and the concepts of keys. What technically draws the line between you or somebody else owning the cryptos you purchased is the owner of the private keys for the wallet you store the cryptos in. It's more likely than not right now, if you do have cryptos, you've been storing them on an exchange of some sort. And for this example, we'll head back to Kraken to show you how further. Let's use my Ethereum addresses on the deposit page. Notice I have 3, all with valid addresses visible. Well, all of these addresses are individual addresses to my Ethereum wallets that Kraken hold on my behalf. I do not have true access to these wallets, besides the ability to withdraw and deposit, and that's because Kraken hold the private keys to my wallet, yours, and even the rest of their global client base. Now whilst this does seem okay, as it takes the pressure off you holding the key, especially in the event of a hack or being breached, the hackers immediately have access to every single private key the exchange hold on your behalf, giving them the power to officially become the key holder and do whatever they please with your funds. Now, if you notice the generate new address button, this gives you the power to create a new wallet, so to speak, whenever you please, but it automatically gives the key to Kraken for each wallet, meaning you're never truly the owner of your funds. So if I press generate new wallet, the wallet's been generated, I have an address, I can send funds here, but I don't have the key. So fortunately, there are 2 incredibly good options for us: hardware wallets and paper wallets. Whilst this sounds like a complete new language, it is surprisingly easy to understand how basic the concept is, especially after I guide you every step of the way. Now we will be covering paper wallets in this lesson and hardware wallets in the next. So let's jump straight to the best wallet for this, and that's my Ether wallet, aka Mu. This doesn't exactly look very appealing to the eye, but we cannot get safer and more simple than this. Notice the first option we have is to create a new wallet. This is exactly the same as what you just saw on Kraken, except this process automatically generates the private key for us to keep, and then offers us multiple methods of saving it securely. So let's start off by entering a password. For this example, Cryptonary. Create new wallet. We already have the key store. This is essentially the private key, which is actually very similar in the layout to your address. So the private key is now being saved as a file, so you can automatically put it into a text file and use it to log into your wallet. So we will first of all save this, I will save this to downloads. Private key. I then understand and continue. And actually, before we continue, pay attention to this. Do not lose it. It cannot be recovered if you lose it. Do not share it. Your funds will be stolen. Make a backup. Paper, printouts, text files, tattoo. Do what you need to do to save this file, guys. Again, if you notice, it cannot be recovered and your funds will be stolen. So essentially what I was saying with Kraken is if someone jeopardizes the exchange, they can take your stuff and your funds will be stolen. So let's continue. You now have your private key written down. So what this means is I can write this down on a piece of paper. I can put it on a note in my phone. I do not recommend that, but as an example, yes. What you can also do is press this button here, which creates a printout, almost like a ticket. And all you can do is you can print this out, several copies, scatter them all over your bedroom, put them in hidden locations like safes. This way no one has access to it besides you. But this means if your computer corrupts, you have the printout here, maybe in a safe, you have a printout under your bed, you have it written down on a piece of paper somewhere, you know exactly where it is and you haven't lost your money. So you notice here your private key has been written down. It's also linked to your address. This way you know what the private key is for and which address it's based for. You also notice you can write down here in notes how much you hold, what you have in there, just notes, just so you know what it is for. We also have QR codes to easily send funds if you have the valid app that accepts QR codes. So imagine we also print this out. We now have a file saved. We're ready to access our address. Again, the same rules. Do not lose it, do not share it, and make a backup. So let's save our address. So now it asks how we would like to access our wallet. We have two options. We have the private key or we have the printout. For this example, I'll use the printout. It will simply ask me to paste this here. I'll copy this. Of course, if this was printed out, I'd have to write this out manually. I paste it in here. I unlock my wallet. As you can see, we've now got access to our wallet. As simple as that, guys. Now this does look a bit confusing and I will explain this further. So we are essentially now in our unlocked wallet. We technically have no token balances right now. So every single token that they accept in my Ether wallet can be shown here. And as you can see, the assortment is pretty wide. Almost every crypto can be accessed from in here. So all this is essentially doing is giving you an in-depth view of what you cannot get in Kraken and actually giving you control over this wallet. Meaning if your computer crashes, it burns, you lose all your data, it gets wiped, it gets stolen, you can log in on any other computer because you have the key to an online public address. The address is public, but access to it is physically impossible without a key. And that is why cryptography is so essential. So what we can do now is we can actually sign out. We can send a token. Okay, let's use this as an example. Imagine you want to send Ether from Kraken to your new wallet. We can now use the file method. Instead of using private key, let's try this method. Select a wallet file, go to downloads, go to private key, and then you select the wallet and you enter the password you signed up with. Now, of course, ours was Cryptonary. We now unlock the wallet. And just like that, we're back in the same wallet, just with a different method. So this way, if I lose my printouts at home, a fire happens, whatever happens, I have the file on my computer. Backups are essential, guys. So all you would do is send Ether tokens. I'd enter my address from Kraken. And if I had Ether on here, I could easily send this straight to Kraken. Send your entire balance. Of course, mine is 0. Now, gas limit is the price you pay, as explained here, to miners for including your TX in a block. So essentially, the more you pay, the higher the priority your transaction gets in the TX queue. Meaning, if you increase the gas limit here, it's more likely to go through faster, but you will pay the cost in Ether. So all you would do, guys, is do that, choose what you can send a rough amount, for example, 500, generate a transaction, and then you would send it. And simple as that, you now have access to your own wallet and you're fully in control of your funds. If Kraken gets hacked, you would lose everything. My Ether wallet gets ambushed, it doesn't matter. The wallet has been generated into the ecosystem. The blockchain now technically owns and runs your wallet, but nobody can access it besides you. Now I'm going to move to an even more advanced method of security with something called a hardware wallet, and in particular the Nano Ledger S. I'll see you in the next lesson. Please write down every single bit of information you can, guys. See you in the next lesson.